So, Paul, why have you chosen these iced buns for your technical challenge?
I grew up with them, and I think they're one of my favourite things I've ever had in a bakery. My dad used to be pretty good at them.
And I bet you've chosen it because there's plenty of time for people to go wrong.
There are a few stages that you can go wrong, but it's down to the rolling stage and the dough stage. Right, to start with, I need 500 grams of strong white flour. Can't use plain flour, you have to use strong. Plain flour is for biscuits and crackers. And cakes.
You almost forgot that.
You see? And strong flour is for bread. Strong flour is best for baking breads and recipes where yeast is used, as it ensures a good even rise and crumb structure. 500 grams of flour straight in the bowl. The next thing I'm going to add is my yeast, and I'm using instant or fast action yeast. And here I've got 14 grams. Straight in, to the side. The next thing I'm going to add in is 40 grams of butter.
Is that salted butter or unsalted butter?
Actually, for this you can use either, to be honest. I'm using unsalted. And then I'm going to put in 10 grams of salt, just normal cooking salt. Salt goes in opposite to the yeast. It's a nice little tip, this. Salt on yeast will certainly retard it, if not kill it. So you blend the yeast in first, then blend the salt in. Okay? The next thing to go in is caster sugar, and you want 50 grams of caster sugar in there. The reason why I'm using caster sugar is actually because you don't want to feel the grains inside the dough. That's the only reason. And then I've got 2 eggs to go in there as well.
Whole eggs?
Yes,
You
whole eggs.
Don't have to beat them first?
No, you're fine. 2 eggs straight in. Next thing to add is your milk and your water. Now, over there, I've got 150 ml of warm milk. Milk tends to slow a yeast down. So if you warm the milk up a little bit, it'll act as a starter for the yeast, so it'll actually get growing. The next thing I'm going to do is add the water. I've got 140 ml of water. Pull some back, and I'll show you why. To start with, here we go. I'll move this out of the way. I'm going to get really messy here now. Get your hands in and just stir with your fingers to start it off.
Could you do this in a mix if you wanted to?
You could. I just prefer to use my hands. Now this is really a conventional dough, so it's not too wet. You can see there, you've still got some residue flour that needs picking up. That's when you put the rest of the water in. Put a little bit in there. And at this stage, it's coming together. See? It's become one ball. It's ready to tip out into a lightly floured surface. Dusting the flour on it. Get your dough. Pop it in there. I've already compensated to the fact that people will add flour into that. Yeah. That's why you've started off with a wetter dough. Okay? Now, begin just by turning it, rolling it over like this. Flip it over. Roll, roll, roll.
Look at the muscles going.
What I'm trying to do is incorporate the eggs, the butter and everything into that dough to get it smoother and smoother.
Those people who've got bread making machines, could they do this kneading in the bread?
Yeah, of course they can. What I'm doing is just building up the gluten. The gluten is now releasing from the flour particles, going into the dough and forming, you can see there the stretches that you see. You know where the dough's beginning to split? Yeah. That is the beginning of the gluten.
Yeah. And it's still quite a wet dough, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, well, it's soft dough. It's a soft dough rather than a wet dough. And then begin to stretch. See, I'm just holding the back. You pummel at that for at least 5 to 10 minutes. And this dough will begin to get smoother and smoother. All the sugar will begin to dissolve. It'll become more glutinous. You've got a nice soft dough there that's well incorporated. That goes back into your bowl.
Right.
Could you cling film that for me, please,
I will. I've got cleaner hands than you.
It just prevents the dough from skinning. So what is happening at the moment, the yeast is beginning to feed itself from the flour, and it'll exhaust itself, so it'll grow, multiply, get bigger. You need to leave it for about an hour, hour and a quarter. It'll then at least double in size.
And you just put the cling film over the top?
Yeah. Just leave it in an ambient temperature somewhere. You know, normal household conditions, room temperatures around 20 degrees C. That's perfect.